Right, today we're going to learn about how to use GitHub. GitHub is a really great service. It's a website that allows you to host your code, all the software that you've written while you're in high school and outside of high school, obviously, on a public or not public, if you want, repository of all the open source code in the world. It's a really easy platform to get started using. There's a lot of different sophisticated features that you can use to work on your source code, to work on it with friends or other people you're working with in the future. You can show it off pretty easily to future employers. You can say, hey, look at this thing I made. I put it up on GitHub. Everybody knows GitHub in the computer science world, and they can take a look at the cool stuff that you've done. So without further ado, the first thing that you're going to need to do is go up here. Firstly, you're going to need to navigate to github.com, github.com. Once you've gotten there and waited for it to load, you can go ahead and hit sign up. And now you're going to need to create a personal account. So you can go with username. I just do Eric Boson. That's already taken because I already have an account. And then just give your email address. Do not use your school email address, because if you do, then they won't be able to email you and detect your, well, they won't be able to email you, confirm your account when you're trying to create your account in a minute. And they also, in the future, won't be able to get in contact with you about updates to various things on your account. So, for example, if somebody else opens a bug on one of your projects, then it would email you typically. You can turn that off if you want, but it's very helpful to know that kind of thing, I find. Then you're going to just choose your password just like you would on any other website. Then you'll hit create an account. And then that'll take you to choose your plan, where you'll just say the basic plan. If you are interested in pro features, you can actually do something called the GitHub Student Pack. GitHub Student Pack, Student Developer Pack, whatever they're calling it now. And that just basically allows you to send them a picture of your student ID, and they'll just give you unlimited access to pro features, which also include other different like Amazon Web Services credit and a bunch of different products like DigitalOcean, all that kind of great stuff. It gives you a bunch of different access to all kinds of different things. Okay, once you've created your account, you're just going to want to go to github.com again. You'll probably have to confirm it via your email, so just open up your email, whatever email you used, and take a look at that. And after that, you're just going to want to go right back to GitHub again, and this time, rather than the sign-in screen, you're going to get this complicated. You can pretty much ignore all of this stuff. This is just updates on your projects and other people's projects and whatever. So you can go ahead and go up to this plus button up here and hit new repository. And what a repository is essentially just a single project. So I have repositories for all the programs that I've made, like for example our robot code for robotics. We have a repository for that. I have one for my Cyber Patriot script here, one for a website that I made for a client. And then I have another one, I think, IBHLCS. I have one for all my computer science stuff. So you might want to go that route too. That works pretty well. I have one for my IA, so you can separate things however you want. But basically, a repository is just one unit of code. So go ahead and click New Repository. So the repository name is just what you're going to call a repository. I'll call it mine like IA or something. I have an actual IA. I have an actual repository for the IA, but for this, for the demonstration purposes, I'll just say IA here. You can write a description here. So my computer science IA GitHub demo. If you want to make it private, that's up to you. You can also make it public. It doesn't really matter that much. So I'll just make it public for purposes of this video. You can ignore the README stuff. That's a good thing to get in the habit of doing if you actually get involved with creating software on GitHub. But for this, it doesn't really matter that much. Your git ignore, that's just basically a list of files that GitHub won't upload. It's generally useful to just go here and search Java or JavaScript or whatever. I don't think there actually is one for JavaScript, but just if you're using a language that has a lot of Eclipse has a lot of files that it generates for tracking your projects that aren't really related to the project. It's just a thing for Eclipse, so there's not really a point of having them actually be uploaded to GitHub. So you can just go ahead and do that. It doesn't really matter that much, and license you can pretty much ignore for now. So then go ahead and click Create Repository. Cool, so now we have this little code repository up here. What we can do now is, well, what I would do is I would go to the terminal and I would do git clone and then copy this URL and then do that, and then it would clone the whole thing, and then I could edit it here. But that's a little bit complicated, and access to Git on our school computers is not that consistent. So we're going to skip that for now, but that's definitely something. Looking into actual Git is a really great idea if you're interested in moving further with this. But for now, we're going to be using a tool called GitHub Desktop. So GitHub Desktop basically just takes all the things that Git does in the terminal: clone, pull, push, whatever. And it just basically puts them all in a nice, easy to use GUI. That looks confusing, don't worry about it. But go ahead and click download for macOS, save, and then open up Finder or however you're going to get to your downloads. I actually have my downloads go to my desktop, so pretend I'm clicking desktop right now. And then, or pretend I'm clicking downloads rather. Then you're going to have GitHub desktop.zip here, so go ahead and extract that. Double click it to extract, by the way. You can delete the zip file. And then open up this GitHub desktop.app file. So now I'm already actually signed into Git on my computer, but you probably won't be. So click up, open, and it's going to have, for me it has this let's get started screen because I'm already signed into Git on my computer. But for you it'll probably just have a sign in thing. So you can probably just type your username and password or email, whatever it wants, to sign in, just like you would if you, just like you did when you created a GitHub account a few minutes ago. Okay, so next thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and click clone a repository from the internet. You're going to want to click URL here, and then you're going to go back to your web browser, and you're going to copy and paste this this URL of this project here. Now paste it in there. Go ahead and do clone. Okay, so now this just shows all the status of your whole repository on GitHub. So now I'm going to have, once you do the cloning thing, you're going to have in your documents folder, there's a GitHub folder and then an IA folder or whatever you called your project. Now let's imagine, so you have this this user's your name, documents, GitHub IA. It might just say IA, I'm not sure. You have this folder here. Now let's imagine that you have on your desktop, what is on my desktop? Yeah, okay. Let's imagine you have this project here called internal assessment. Okay, so you got these files. This is a very complete and totally not nonsense HTML, JavaScript, CSS project. I didn't just make that up at all. And so you have these two folders. You have this GitHub folder, and then you have this one on your desktop or wherever else you might have happened to put it. So what you can do is literally just click and drag all of these files over here to your GitHub/IA folder, or whatever you called your repository again. Now, when you go back to GitHub Desktop, it's going to show you these three different files that it's detected 3 changes on. And if you actually put content in, so for this one I put content in it, so you can see I added the code display none, which would actually just hide everything. So I don't know why you'd have CSS that says that, but anyway. So what you're going to want to do to actually upload these changes from your computer to GitHub is just go down here to where it says summary, and you can type make some cool content. It's a good idea typically to say make rather than made or makes or anything like that. It's imperative that you use the imperative tense here. That doesn't actually matter that much, but it's kind of a standard. And then you can go ahead and click commit to master. So now you've just basically told Git, okay, look at all my changes, look at the changes I've made, and basically make a log of what exactly I selected to store permanently. Now what you can do next is just go up here and click push origin, and what you're going to do is tell GitHub itself all of the changes that you've made, GitHub the website rather than GitHub Desktop the tool. Basically you're going to tell it all the changes that you've made. So yeah, so you're going to tell it all the changes you've made. So now if you go back to your IA folder, you'll notice, if you refresh, that there is some cool content. We have a whole line of CSS, 100%. And it's going to show all these files here. You can click them to open them. There's nothing there, but if you can, I can see the code here. And other people can do exactly the same thing. They can clone the repository onto their computers, and that's all cool. Now, if you wanted to, for example, use Visual Studio Code to edit this code, you don't have to actually copy and paste your code over from internal assessment every time. What you should do is use VS Code to just close that project and ignore it, and then use VS Code to reopen this IA folder in the GitHub directory rather than in this internal assessment folder or whatever you called it before. You can pretty much just get rid of that, drag it to the trash, and then just open the files that are in this directory, and when you edit them, I'll just do it from a terminal, let's say. So if I want to edit index.html, I use Vim, which is basically just a terminal version of VS Code. I can add like doc type HTML, title, there's no content. Cool. Yeah, so now we have this great page. And if you go to GitHub Desktop, now it'll just show you've got this content changed here. It says you added all this stuff to index.html, and I can say put content in index.html. Cool, commit to master. And then go ahead and click push origin again, and it'll upload it all to the cloud, as it were. And I can refresh, and it'll say it has this put content in index.html commit here. You can click on index.html, it'll have the content again. And you didn't actually have to move anything out of this folder. Everything thrives in here, like it should be. Okay, that's pretty much all there is to using GitHub. There's a bunch of other stuff that you can get into. Again, command line Git is really interesting and a lot of fun. There's a bunch of different features on GitHub, like forking and things like that, and pull requests and issues that are a lot of fun. But in a very basic sense, this will allow you to get your code up on GitHub where you can see it and reuse it later on, where maybe people who are employing you in a computer science field in the future can see it, where you can collaborate with friends or colleagues on it, and basically just be able to have a public record of all the code that you've written. It's a lot easier that way, I found. So, yep, thanks.